Hello, what's up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am from the likes of the Max D Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Colors Ultimate for the PlayStation 4, or in this case PlayStation 5 due to backwards compatibility, and also Xbox One, Xbox Series X/Series S, PC, and Nintendo Switch. So, last time we have basically managed able to take down the final generator on the forms within the Asteroid Coaster world. And overall, that was almost like a flawless run, except with the boss fight, along with the forms of the first act, due to the forms of that very stingy final red star ring to obtain. But apart from that, today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be exploring those previous planets again, including the forms of, well, Asteroid Coaster as well. And this means for today's video is that we're about to be collecting the rest of those red star rings that we haven't gone through since the very beginning. And after all, though, as you can tell, this is going to be the post-commentary for the sake of this playthrough. This also means is the fact that this is going to be by far the shortest video, or the shortest part, throughout the majority of this Let's Play, because if you couldn't tell already, I've almost collected quite a larger amount of those red star rings throughout, but there are some parts I was missing on, but we'll show this off entering at some point or another. But as you can tell, we're going back onto Tropical Resorts, and basically that we've actually missing out on quite a few red star rings, mainly because we haven't do that much of it though, to begin with, until we're able to actually just to obtain the Drill Wisp, along with the forms of the Frenzy Wisp, which that will be on the forms of in Act 4, and also applies to the forms of the Pink Spike Wisp during the course of Act 5, well, and also in Act 6 as well, because as a result though, that way we can now able to actually obtain the final few red star rings in particular. Sorry for a little bit of a tongue twist in the end, folks, because, well, I would like to mention about more stuff in particular, but honestly guys, I'm just trying to show you guys where the red star rings are, for the sake of the forms of the last remaining red star rings throughout the majority of the game itself. So, now, I suppose one thing I should probably mention while this is going on is the fact that now there is a reason why that, remember back in during the forms within the Planet Wisp parts during the course of in this playthrough anyway. Now, the reason why I'm not going to be showing you guys the X Shuttle mode is mainly because, well, as you can tell already, the X Shuttle mode is basically you go through the exact same stages again, but during the course of one singular run through as a marathon. Now, you're able to actually just try to make your way to, well, let's just say over like, well, let's just say about 45 stages total. And as a result, though, you can't afford able to take a break, because obviously if you somehow accidentally press the reset selection, along with the forms of the quit option, you basically have to go all the way back to the beginning of that particular X Shuttle mode, which I'll do that on my own time, off screen, so just in case I can able to obtain the final trophy in the game. Mind you, there might be, in addition to able to actually showing off you guys some of these remaining of those red star rings to obtain that you can't normally get from before, but also I might able to show you guys some brief trophy pop-ups here and there, like some in particular ones ranging from the forms of, well, there was that one particular trophy that I somehow accidentally ignored for the first time around, and that's what appears to be by the forms of trying to do the insane amount of quick steps, which I'll show that off until specifically whenever we get into Starlight Carnival Act 1, because I think that might actually be the perfect example of able to get that trophy / achievement to begin with. So yeah, that's as far as you might as well say for this point, for that point. So, but I digress. And for the most part, when it comes to able to gain those red star rings, it's actually not too bad actually, when it comes to able to getting most of them anyway. Well, with only one in particular annoying one exception, which appears to be in the forms of an Aquarium Park in, well, let's just say in Act 4 for instance, that you probably know why until whenever we get into that specific point. But for the most part, the Tropical Resort, in terms of the last remainings of the forms of the Red Star Rings, it's actually not too bad, actually. And also, that I'm actually going to be able to try to do the S-rank run-throughs on certain acts, although some stages exceptions, although mind you, I have to able to actually do a massive editing stuff to do, especially noticeable how the fact that it might actually took me a couple of hours to do for the sake of a lot of editing stuff to go through. So either way though, especially noticeable, it's bad enough that my laptop keeps lagging most of the time, which it can be annoying at times, but regardless of everything else though, we have to cope with it as it is. So, but yeah, you probably get the idea of how this video is going to be presented in with that specific stuff. It's mainly we're going to have to able to collect the final rest of the Red Star Rings, and of course we're able to actually get the last few unlockables during the course of the actual game land. So yeah, that might be seems worth a while to able to actually replay some of these stages again. At least thankfully, unlike the forms of how it does it on Sonic Lost World sometimes, that during the course of certain Red Star Ring locations can be, well, unforgiven and all that stuff. Well, at least for I've noticing this already, just because, well, at least because of the fact that thankfully you don't need to worry about these very annoying instant death moments in certain level gimmicks here and there. So, yeah, that pretty much summed up as such from here. Oh, and by the way, during the course of Sweet Mountain Act, I think it's Act 3, potentially, and thankfully if you become Pink Spikes as a transformation, as you can see, thankfully as you can see right there, that somehow we ended up getting involved with that particular candy rocket. Thankfully you have no harm onto that whatsoever if you become Pink Spikes after all, which I guess is a good thing, especially noticeable because, well, I have no words to say about this for the majority of the time. So either way though, now let's move on to the next act where, you know, basically that sometimes that we're missing on either 2 Red Star Rings or 1 Red Star Ring in particular. Although one of the levels that we somehow missed a lot during the course of the Red Star Rings collecting, and that's simply because it was obviously going to be on Starlight's Carnival level, at least in one of the levels anyway. I think it was in Act 2 most likely, so because of that though, because we haven't done that much in terms of, you know, Act 2 for Starlight's Carnival as it goes by. So either way though, not much else I can talk about, apart from the fact that, well, I've already mentioned about the Forms of the X Shuttle playthrough, that sadly it's not going to happen. This is mainly because it plays out exactly like the Forms of the regular levels again, except you'll basically just go for a giant singular marathon. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure if you manage to able to don't actually access to terminal velocity, and especially noticeable if you manage to able to get to the point where if you manage to able to play X Shuttle mode, and then basically if you don't do the forms of terminal velocity at all, then basically that you will experience, like, I would say for about 42 levels in particular, so at least if I remember correctly, although I may be wrong, but either way though, that might be something worth mentioning. So this is the secret pathway I was telling you about, despite the fact that we failed it for the first time back in the third part, but now we actually showed this off for real during the course of in that particular part right there. Well, not so much for this clip, but as you saw for about a few moments ago. So, and also as you can see, that we once again managed to able to change our boost effect, along with the Forms of the Oreo change, and of course, that we once again change our shoes and gloves color change, which this time, I'm actually going to go for orange colors, and it combined with the orange colors between, well, with the shoes and gloves and everything. I've also managed able to actually equip the fire boost along with the Forms of the fire Oreo, which actually represents that orange can be summed up as like fire flames. So that might actually be a perfect fit for that particular color, although despite the fact that the flames might actually be represented within red or orange in particular. So yeah, as you can see on screen, that I'm actually going to be able to get the next trophy, which is Step It Up. And basically, that way you can able to actually do a whole bunch of quick steps in that one particular session during the course of that one of those segments, which I will say, Starlight Carnival Act 1 is the perfect way you can able to get that trophy, especially noticeable, it's pretty easy to get if you manage to able to get into that section. So now we move on to Act 2, that, well, basically we're going to be collecting the majority of those Red Star Rings in particular for the sake of this stage, because obviously we didn't do that much of it back then, just because we haven't exactly access to the pink spike wisp throughout. But regardless of everything else though, that's as far as I can usually just try to wager for that specific stuff worth noting for. But I digress. So again, there's not much else we can really say about this, honestly, guys, apart from the fact that, well, it's just for the sake of red star rings we're going to be collecting, which is pretty convenient, because even then, though, just like in our Let's Play of Sonic Lost World on the Wii U version, just for the sake of likely for a challenge, and also just try to unlock Supersonic throughout in Sonic Lost World. But as far as compared to the Sonic Generations counterparts with the Red Star Ring grinding is concerned, that we didn't do that much of it though, mainly because it actually gives you some concept arts as well as music and also some skills as well, depending if it's either modern Sonic or classic Sonic. So yeah, that pretty much summed up as such here. So anyways, let's move on to Act 3 in terms of Starlight Carnival, and as I mentioned this before, differently from the original Wii version is that the last Red Star Ring is no longer placed underneath the actual, like, electric spinner Badnik. It was being replaced by the forms of another pathway that we've never actually discovered before. That way we can able to actually not only use the Jade Ghost Wisp by simply able to actually wave through the walls, but also use the Green Hover Wisp, so that way we can able to actually troll through rings and such. So, in fact, that some people usually say that it's like a light speed dash move, basically, for the sake of Sonic Adventure games. Although, if you transform into the pink spike transformation wisp, then you basically hold down the action button and you get yourselves a spin dash. So, yeah, I have no idea why they just managed to actually just use that as the new forms of the wisp powers, as opposed to like the Sonic's natural movesets and stuff like that. But either way though, I have no words able to try to describe it for that such though, mainly because, well, it has been quite a few days though actually, since I actually did manage to last touch this game after when, you know, Ray still carry on playing, you know, Mario Party 7, and also same applies to when Maxie is still working on Super Mario 3D All-Stars still. So, because again, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on Mario stuff after all, for the sake of the majority of, not just for this month, but also next month as well, potentially, for likes of, you know, 3D All-Stars, along with Mario Party 7 for certain extras coming up. So, yeah, that pretty much summed up as such from there. So, yeah, for the most part, the Starlight Carnival Red Star Ring locations is actually not too bad. And as for Planet West, I somehow only missed one, and that's what appears to be requires you to able to actually transform into Purple Frenzy transformation, and that was the only one I've actually missed. So, that could be also applies to the forms of Asteroid Coaster as well, which is obviously going to be on the first act with the forms of that pretty strict timing window in terms of the forms of trying to able to obtain that darn thing. So, yeah, that's how I usually think about it for the sake of time. So, I suppose one thing I should probably mention at this point is the fact that today's day is, of course, the 25th, I believe it's the 25th today, of January in terms of 2022. And so far, that the Mario Luigi Bowser's Inside Story plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey in the UK version is now becoming likely, I would say, 3 years old recently. So because of that though, despite its poor sales, mainly because it was on the 3DS to begin with, or something like that, despite the fact that the original version did already become a backwards compatibility back then, so I just have no idea why the game didn't sell well. So, well, it's not the end of the world honestly, but at least I still find that game pretty enjoyable despite poor sales. Now, right there, the Red Star Ring I was about to be getting to next, this is by far the hardest, mainly because you have to be so precise with the actual angles with, you know, trying to utilize the forms of the actual, like, the laser wisp, and believe me, it actually took me a lot of tries to able to actually get that godforsaken Red Star Ring, especially after doing a lot of deaths here and there, especially noticeable because that is by far still the hardest Red Star Ring to obtain, and because I almost wasted for about 7 minutes or so, and also I got myself another trophy because I somehow managed to break all the letters for the sake of depending on the ranks. Now to get that trophy, you have to break D, C, B, A, and S respectively during the course of that particular achievement you're about to be getting. So, of course, we've only down to one Red Star Ring left, and as of course, the last one that we need to obtain from is of course based off from Asteroid Coaster in Act 1. And again, it can be pretty strict in some scenarios right here. Especially noticeable, you have to be so precise with the actual movements right there until you're able to get this right. So, once you collect all the red star rings throughout the game, you also get another achievement slash trophy as well, which is Superstar. This actually represents that you've actually got every single red star rings throughout the game. So, yeah, it seems all pretty nice reward. And of course, we were able to actually unlock the final stage in Gameland. So, yeah, speaking of Gameland though, actually, it's the fact that I think, suffice to tell you for this point, guys, we're gonna have to end things off at this point right here. I know, again, the video itself is pretty short, but some stuff happens, you know? So join me next time when Let's Play Sonic Colors Ultimate. We're gonna be getting to the fun part, and that is the Gameland. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Later, fellas.